evening and welcome to Up South for all the top news stories from South India with me, T.S. Sudhir. A little later on in the show, we'll be joined by Uttama Villain's director, Ramesh Arvind, on what he thinks of the VHP's demand for a ban on his film, which stars actor Kamal Haasan. But our top story this evening on Up South is on the big Satyam verdict. In fact, Ramalinga Raju, the founder chairman of Satyam Computers, has been sentenced to 7 years in prison. That's for the big Satyam fraud that he's claimed he had committed in January 2009. In fact, 6 years after he had declared and admitted to a fraud, the court said today that he indeed had committed a big fraud. Ramalinga Raju, his brother Ramaraju and 8 others were sentenced to 7 years. The 2 brothers were also fined nearly 5 crore rupees each. This brings to an end one of the most shameful chapters for corporate India, which had actually idolized Ramalinga Raju as a corporate icon, only to discover that he had feet of clay. Ramalinga Raju has already spent more than 2.5 years in jail, so that will be accounted for, but his lawyers plan to go in appeal to a higher court, and that could happen as early as tomorrow. In fact, none of Ramalinga Raju's pleas after he was held guilty were taken into account by the judge. Raju reportedly told the judge to treat his case with special consideration, as he had already spent 32 months in jail. He also said that he needs to look after his aged mother and family. Raju also cited his own age and pointed out that he had done many philanthropic activities and started ambulance services like the 108 service. Nothing of that was taken into account by the judge. After the verdict was out, I spoke to CBI counsel K. Surinder on what is being described as a landmark judgment.
With me is Mr. Surendra, CBI counsel. First of all, congratulations on a landmark judgment, as you've been calling. But is 7 years the maximum this court could have given? Is that what you were expecting?
The court is empowered to sentence for 7 years. That is the maximum for this court. So that imprisonment the court has given. Yeah.
Did the prosecution appeal for a more harsher sentencing in this particular case?
It cannot get any more harsher because that is the maximum that this court can give.
Okay. Given the fact that there was a lot of electronic evidence and it was a very difficult case for the CBI to unravel, what would you say were your thoughts when the judgment was being delivered? You knew that you had a watertight case?
Yeah, right from the beginning we knew that we had a good case, but ultimately it's for the court to decide. And the court has decided in our favor.
The fact that Ramalinga Raju said that confession letter which he had written on the 7th of January, he had retracted from that. Did that make matters more difficult because it was no longer an open shut case?
No, we never relied upon the statement as such. There was a lot of other evidence, electronic evidence, wherein it was proved beyond doubt that whatever is stated in the letter was in fact correct. That is how we linked it to the trial.
The fact also is that everyone is saying that Ramalinga Raju was the kingpin of the whole conspiracy. The PricewaterhouseCoopers were not involved in the conspiracy as such. Would you actually believe, are they saying the truth?
No. That I cannot say, but the court has found that all of them were involved. And all of them have conspired, including the auditors. That is the reason the sentence has been imposed on all 10.
Now, they would be obviously going in appeal. What would be the CBI strategy from now on?
We'll try to defend our case, say that whatever the lower court has imposed is correct. And we'll have to discuss and draw a line of strategy. We will have to see what is to be done.
My last question, sir. Ramalinga Raju in the court made a plea that he has an aged mother to look after, that he had done a lot of philanthropic work, that he's already spent 32 months inside jail. What was the judge's observation when he made those kind of observations?
Observation court said these kind of offences, there is no question of any lenience that could be shown. No question of lenient view. As such, the court has imposed a maximum sentence of 7.
And this has sent a message out to corporate India that these kind of frauds will not be tolerated?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right. Joining me now from Bengaluru for a perspective is V. Balakrishnan, former Chief Financial Officer of Infosys. And I can tell you from my interactions with Ramalinga Raju in the past that Infosys was one company that Ramalinga Raju had a huge complex about. Now, Mr. Balakrishnan, Ramalinga Raju, once the darling of corporate India, only for the world to discover that he had feet of clay. Now, what's the big message from this verdict for India Inc.?
No, the big message for India Inc. is the boards in India should take their governance very seriously. They have to spend more time with the management. They have to understand the business, and they have to make sure the audit committee spends enough time in looking at the financial matters and look deep into the numbers to figure out the reality of the financial statements. I think the boards have taken it more easily. I think this is a wake-up call. The board should play its role, the audit committee should play its role, and even the audit firms have to do a lot of self-introspection. I mean, the whole audit system has failed in this particular case. So I think all of them have to take it as a wake-up call, learn from the past mistakes, and make sure this kind of event does not occur in India again.
Right. Mr. Balakrishnan, what is astonishing is that a number of corporate governance awards were bestowed on Satyam Computers and Ramalinga Raju. In fact, the last one was in 2008, just a year before Ramalinga Raju decided to confess and come clean. Now, it also shows what little checks and balances are done by those who actually decide to honor and idolize one person.
No, I think, see, here it is a case of suppression of facts. It is a case of some criminal kind of situation where they cooked up the books. It is very difficult for anybody outside to realize what is actually happening in the company. So I think the awards and all followed based on the performance they shown, but now we all find out that performance is illusionary. The books have been cooked up. So it's very difficult for people outside to figure out what exactly happening in the company. That's why I'm saying the board has not performed its role properly. The auditors are not performed the role properly, and all the checks and balances are completely failed in this particular case. So we can't say that awards are wrong, because awards are given based on what the external world knows about the company. But internally, a lot of things were happening which the people outside are not aware. So I think it's a good wake-up call, not only for the boards and the auditors and also for regulators, because regulation has also failed. And you need better regulation in this country. We need faster, fast-track kind of situation in this kind of case, because it took 6 years. I mean, if you look at US, the Madoff case happened. There also similar thing. Yes. 20 years somebody was able to con the whole world that is the best performing fund.
Yes.
And when they found out that within 2 years the fellow was sentenced, was given 150 years in prison, he is not going to come out. So you need stricter penalties and harsh punishment in this kind of cases, so it will act as a deterrent for others.
Absolutely, that's a very relevant example that you point out, Mr. Balakrishnan. But in the Satyam case, there were fake employees, there were bogus employees, the accounts were all cooked up, there were shell companies. Do you think post 2009, when the Satyam computer scam broke, has corporate India cleaned up its act? Has it changed for the better?
I think so. I think the board has started taking the job very seriously. Audit committee has started taking the job seriously. Even audit firms are getting more aggressive now and trying to get into the whole issues. And also the regulations have changed. I mean, if you look at the new Companies Act, it is a reflection of what happened with Satyam. So I think the regulation environment has changed, the governance environment has changed, and the boards have taken the job very seriously, and the audit process also evolved much better today.
Right. Mr. V. Balakrishnan, thanks a lot for joining us for that perspective on that very important story which came from Hyderabad, with the Hyderabad court delivering its judgment on the Satyam fraud case. Now for some breaking news which is coming in from Tamil Nadu. The Madras High Court has ruled that there will be no cremation of bodies till tomorrow. These are the bodies of the 20 alleged smugglers who were killed in an encounter 3 days back in Chittoor district of Andhra Pradesh. The task force which was engaged in fighting the red sander smugglers said that these were smugglers who had sneaked in from Tamil Nadu, but now versions coming in from Tamil Nadu saying that these were ordinary woodcutters who had actually been arrested by the Andhra Pradesh police, taken inside the Seshachalam forest and gunned down. 20 people were killed in that alleged encounter. Joining me is Srisha Reddy, who joins me from Punamali in Tamil Nadu. Srisha, it's a big decision by the Madras High Court. What are the details that you're getting?
Well, exactly, Sudhir, because with the recent details that have been coming out and a lot of encounters of the person who actually saw this, the eyewitness in fact, so this is now come with political parties protesting in Tamil Nadu and in Andhra Pradesh as well. So the High Court has now directed that the cremation cannot happen until Friday, because the postmortem report will have to arrive, and also there have been a lot of serious allegations that's been raised by politicians saying that all these people who are like woodcutters have been shot in point blank and they were arrested before they were shot down. So yes, with a lot of allegations like this, now the High Court has directed this.
Right. Shisha, stay on with us. In fact, there have been protests simmering all over Tamil Nadu since this an alleged encounter took place in Chittoor district of Andhra Pradesh. In fact, the families of the 20 men who were killed in that alleged encounter, they took the bodies, but they have accused the cops of killing the men in cold blood. In fact, they have placed the bodies of 2 of the men killed in the alleged encounter on a road in neighbouring Tamil Nadu's Tirunelveli district and are refusing to remove them till a credible, independent probe is announced in the case. The victims' families claim that 7 persons were picked up by the police and taken inside the forest and killed in cold blood, as Shisha Reddy was pointing out there. They also allege that an 8th person managed to escape the police arrest, and the alleged survivor will now produce himself before the National Human Rights Commission, which has taken cognizance of the case and has also issued a directive both to the Chief Secretary and the Director General of Police of Andhra Pradesh. But the opposition Congress and the Tamil Nadu parties have upped the ante, but the Andhra Pradesh government is standing its ground, defending the police action and saying that it would continue to protect its natural resources by all means.
When the situation is there, when somebody is trying to kill you, so when you, you have to defend yourself. Suppose, imagine a situation where, so the policemen will get killed. Then what do you say? Last time when all these forest people and police constable got killed, and they said, వాళ్ళకే దిక్కు లేకపోతే the police people are feeling, and
they could have opened fire
there.
on their legs. They could have immobilized them and stuff.
No, that is all your theories. I can't answer your theories. Who told you that you should open fire on legs? You have a law like that?
Eyewitness is in some safe place and he is afraid coming forward at this atmosphere, and you have been seeing the atmosphere, and an appropriate time he will come out, and his evidence has to be recorded by an appropriate court or the Human Rights Commission.
Right. In fact, what could give a new twist to this entire Chittoor encounter case and the claims and the counter claims, what that 8th person who claims that he was also arrested, he already managed to escape, what he says there will be extremely, extremely critical. In fact, the man was reportedly on the same bus as the other alleged smugglers, but he managed to escape. And according to the survivor, he will be producing himself before the National Human Rights Commission, and the claim, if proved true, would deal a big blow to the claims made by the Andhra Pradesh police, who have dismissed allegations of staging an encounter.
ஆந்திரா சர்க்கார் யார் உத்தரவு கொடுத்தாங்கன்னு தெரியல, மனிதாபிமானம் இல்லாம பதைக்க சந்தேகத்தின் பேரில் அழைத்து சென்று அவர்களை என்கவுண்டரில் சுட்டு எல்லா டிவி ப்ரோக்ராம் சேனல்ஸ் எல்லாம் பார்க்கும்போது எல்லாருடைய குண்டும் மார்பக பகுதியிலே பட்டிருக்கிறது என்பது பிளானடு, எல்லாம் பிளான் பண்ணி செஞ்சிருக்காங்க. நிச்சயமாக வாழ்க்கையில் அவங்களாம் நல்லபடியா இருக்க போறதில்ல. தெய்வம் வந்து ஏடுகொண்டோட வெங்கட்ராமன் பார்த்துக்கிட்டே இருக்கார்.
Right, Shisha Reddy is with us. Shisha, what kind of documentary evidence does this person have to back his claim? And number 2, what is the situation? You are very close to the Tamil Nadu-Andhra border. What is the situation there in those border districts?
Well, Sudhir, coming to the first part of the question, that he does not have any documentary evidence as such, because all the jobs that these people were doing are low-paid jobs. So it's just word of the mouth. They tell that there is a job, then they go ahead with it. And as the survivor was also pointing out that there were jobs for as suppliers and construction workers. So these kind of jobs, they don't have a documentary evidence as such. But on Monday, they had left their particular district and they were going to Tirupati. From Tirupati, they had boarded onto another bus to Renigunta. So that's where they've been picked up by the police officials. But this guy, the survivor himself, managed to escape because he was sitting next to a woman. So these are the evidences that he has been talking about, where he'll be producing himself before the National Human Rights Commission. On the other hand, coming to the tension between the Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh border, yes, there have been a lot of tension that have been there. The buses are not flying. In fact, and the pro-Tamil activists and the pro-Tamil groups have been staging protests and damaging the properties of the Andhra Pradesh properties. In fact, the places and the other stuff that have been in Tamil Nadu.
Right. Shisha Reddy, thanks a lot for joining us with all those details from Tamil Nadu on this big story between Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Welcome back. You're with Up South. Now, what is it about Kamal Haasan that different people get offended with his movies? First, it was the Muslim groups who actually took objections to his Vishwaroopam a couple of years ago. And now it is the Vishwa Hindu Parishad that has called for a ban on his new movie, Uttama Villain.